What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the after credits scene. We are talking about the finale of Miss Marvel that comes out on Wednesday morning here on Disney Plus. Got a whole lot of things to talk about here, a whole lot of things to get into. I've got some bones to pick with the show and with Marvel. We'll get into that here in a second, but first, please like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so when we drop new content, you'll be the first one to know about it. Then share this sucker all across the multiverse. This one's for me. I need some more explanation of the Noor dimension. I know that we're not likely to get it. This 100% is, I need this. Because, and I've got some TikTok videos if you want to go search the after credit scene on TikTok. I've got some videos asking some questions about this, as well as some tweets out there that are making the rounds. I'm trying to figure out how the things we saw at the end of episode 5, particularly with the time travel elements, did not break any of the end game time travel rules. I understand that if it was always supposed to happen, the TVA wouldn't come in and interfere and those kind of things. And if it was always supposed to happen, then that's what was supposed to happen. But how did it happen the first time? Because Kamala has heard a story her whole life about her grandmother following a trail of stardust to get back on the train and get to her parents. That moment, following the trail of stardust, we know is what allowed her grandmother to get on the train with the bangle that ends up in America at some point with Kamala's mother. It's in a box in the attic. Kamala finds it, puts it on. Then Kamala has powers in what we've seen. And then that allows Kamala to then go back in time where she can do the thing that she needed to do to begin with. So it has to have a starting point. Nothing in Endgame broke that rule. Okay, just because they went back and grabbed a stone, because they brought it back, it didn't affect anything. It may have changed something. It may have changed something moving forward for a little while in our world, in our perception. But the fact that they went back immediately meant anybody in that timeline just saw this person show up, take a stone, and then somebody else come back and put it back. That's not what happened here. What happened here is somebody from the future came back with something and did something that allowed them to then have that power in the future. I get that once the loop starts, it can keep going. But how did it happen the first time? That's what breaks the rule. So I think there's an explanation somewhere within the Noor, somewhere within the power of the bangle. My quick explanation here is that it didn't matter who was wearing the bangle. It's not the fact that it's Kamala is irrelevant. It's the bangle. When Kamala's great-grandmother, when Aisha is trying to call out for Sana and she cries out, "What you seek is seeking you." The time jumps, the cuts would seem to indicate that the bangle was called. Aisha thought she was calling the bangle, which Sana was connected to, and because of whatever happened in the future with Kamala during that fight scene is what allowed that to cross over somehow. So I think that the bangle was what went back, had nothing to do with Kamala, except that Kamala was attached to the bangle at the time. Could have been anybody. Maybe the first time it was somebody else. And they were, who knows? But they haven't explained enough of that for me to be happy with it. And there are some articles floating around out there that are like, okay, did we mess with some time travel rules? Hopefully enough that if they don't explain it in the show, they'll explain it in an article or a behind the scenes or something. But I think that's a big enough plot point of how does the Noor dimension work? We know that power can be transferred because Kamran's mother, as she is closing the veil, ends up somehow transferring her power because she has access to the Noor again. She somehow transfers her power to Kamran with just a word. So they have the ability to do that, but they need to explain it a little better, and they haven't. So we need some explanation here. Moving from Pakistan to the United States, we get a real quick look at Kamran and his new power, him interacting with Bruno, damage control showing up. I think there's some rough stuff coming here. If you have watched the She-Hulk trailer, combined with what we saw from episode 5 of Miss Marvel, you know that the facility that is shown in the She-Hulk trailer, which is also the facility that the Abomination is captured in as well, is the Damage Control Supermax facility. That's where, so we're going to see that facility again. I don't think Damage Control is going away. I think they're going to be a big part of this, but I think that does not bode well for Kamran. I think that something's going to happen there. Somebody's got to get captured. Something's going to go on here. They're not just going to go away. And so I don't think there's going to be some kind of resolution of, well, okay, I guess it's all fine. I think that this is where we're headed, and something else is going to have to come into play here to get the Damage Control guys off of either Kamran's back or Kamala's back, and that's where a lot of this episode is likely to take place. I told you we would probably get a cameo or a cliffhanger in episode 5. I think the cameo, now I'm 100%, I was 50. Episode 6, I think, is going to give us that cameo. Episode 5 did give us the cliffhanger because they cut that episode right as Damage Control blows up the Circle Q. And I think episode 5 and 6 we're probably going to discover needed to go right together, and there was too much to put into episode 6, so they stuck that in as a little teaser. Probably would have been better as an after credit scene in episode 5, if I'm honest, and then give us a little more explanation as to what went on with the time travel. Loved all the backstory, but there were some things that they didn't resolve that are going to have to get resolved. In that regard, I left this panel same as from last week. The family resolution and the trip back home. We got a flash of what's going on in the U.S. at the moment that Kamran gets his powers, but Kamala has to get home with her mother, and they're going to be spending a whole plane ride back, probably talking about what happened and what went on. I'm glad that they brought the mother into it the way that they did, and that she was understanding, because it helped her story with her mother. But with Kamala and her mom trying to figure out when they go home, what's dangerous, what's not dangerous? Am I going to let you go out and fight crime? There's a lot to talk about here that they still need to talk about, and they've done a good job of dealing with the family dynamics, and I think that's still something that's got to happen, that's something that's coming. Having said that, because there's all of these things that need to happen, obviously this one is my need to happen, but all of these things, these two that I think are really going to happen, I always say this, lower your bar and enjoy the show. As it comes to a close here, as we get nightfall, sunset on this series, lower your bar here. Now I put 50% here to enjoy the show because there's always the possibility that they drop the ball. There's always the possibility that the story gets wrapped up too quickly, they don't give us enough, and it just ends so abruptly that you don't feel any resolution, and you feel upset that you even watched 6 hours of something or 5 hours or however long it's been. There's always that possibility. They've done a good job of writing the show up until this point. Even with my problems with the time travel thing, it was a really great episode. I liked it. A lot of people are complaining about the fact that, oh, it feels too much like a Disney Channel kids show, like a High School Musical type thing, or some little kids show or whatever. People are hard to please. Listen, if you're one of those people, I get it. Everybody has particular tastes about what they want, but you have a very large following at Marvel. You have a very large comic following, a movie following, a TV following. You want connections with your stories, but every character is different. We want Phase 4 to feel like Endgame and Infinity War, when we forget that Phase 1 of the MCU was good movies, but it didn't feel like Endgame and Infinity War. Nobody's putting Iron Man above Infinity War or Endgame in their list of movies, unless they're ridiculous. Same thing here with Phase 4 and these new shows. Let them introduce new characters. Let them introduce them with new styles. There's all kinds of critiques about, well, it's too dark, it's too serious, it's too this, it's the same thing, it's all comedy. And the last couple of shows we've gotten have had some different elements to it, and there are some fringe pockets of people that say, oh, this is not the MCU, and this is not this and that. Just enjoy it. Enjoy it for something new. Enjoy that they're telling a story for other people that are not just you, and find ways to enjoy it. Find ways to be interested in the story. I say that to say, lower your bar and just have fun watching it, because finales are always fun, and we get a bunch of those with Marvel because of these Disney Plus shows. Again, continue to watch for threads, not because everything is finally going to come together in the finale, but because the threads that they are tying up here are also going to have something to pull off of, something to attach to move forward into the Marvels movie. There's a whole lot there, and these characters have to connect up somehow, and I don't think it's just going to be, well, we know this girl. I think there's going to have to be something there. Maybe we get some idea of that in the form of the type of cameo we get, and that's all we get. But pay attention to these threads, because who's going to be there, how are they going to connect, is a really big deal. Here's my big prediction for the episode and for Ms. Marvel moving forward. There was a whole lot of conversation, and I've had this prediction the entire time, even though I haven't given it away because I didn't want to give spoilers and I didn't want to throw things awry, and there's plenty of things to talk about. But, one, where is the other bangle? One episode we got a discussion about, well, there's got to be 2 bangles to open up the veil. We know that the veil is closed, but there's still another bangle out there. Does somebody else get that bangle and that's who becomes a bad guy? Does Kamala somehow find that bangle and her mother's like, oh, it was in the box right next to it. You didn't look for it? Is there another bangle out there? Maybe her grandmother had it and slipped it into Kamala's backpack. Who knows? But there's another bangle out there somewhere. Maybe this is how that happens. Maybe it's a Terrigenesis thing. Who knows? But if you watch the finale trailer, there's one shot where Kamala seems to be jumping down to the ground and her legs elongate, but the hard light element is only on her feet. The explanation of her powers in the comic book are different than the explanation of her powers in the TV show, but there's been a lot of pushback as to the fact that Kamala's powers in the TV show look nothing like they do in the comic book. One of the directors and the producers said that the hard light is not the final form of her powers. Maybe she learns to control it differently. Maybe something changed. Maybe something happened. Maybe she gets this other bangle. But they're either going to end the show or they're going to give some explanation as to either how Kamala can still have powers without the bangle, i.e. she loses it, and we find out that she can still do all the things that she could do before, or she learns how to control her powers in a different way, and she's able to stretch and embiggen and do all these different things without the need for hard light. She can still do it. She could use the hard light if she needed to, but maybe it's a way for her to hide a little better. Who knows? But I think they have to address that too. I think that's coming. I've seen teases of it. I have thought this from episode 1. How are they going to funnel it back in and make it a little more comic accurate? Because for the most part, Marvel is very good about making things as comic accurate as possible when it comes to styles and themes and certain characters, at least having them in there, even if it's in name only. They're working with characters. The Mandarin in Iron Man 3 moving forward to Shang-Chi is a really cool way that they have done that, even if they had to retcon some things. That they left enough space there where you could interpret things some different ways, and I think this might be one of those things. So take a look out for a cameo. If I had to guess, I'm guessing Haley Steinfeld. The easy answer is probably Brie Larson or Teyonah Parrish. I'm guessing Haley Steinfeld for some reason because without any other explanation other than the fact that there was a mess up on one of the credits in episode 1, and it said that there's an assistant to Mrs. Steinfeld, and it is not anybody that was in the show. If you look at the cast credits, nobody else has that last name, so perhaps it's her. She pops up. The after credits in this episode are going to be important. They might be the thing that sets up some of this stuff. So tell us what you guys think. I'm excited for the finale. I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun. Put your answers in the comments. Check out our TikTok page so you can get involved in the time travel discussion and conversation. Share this video all across the multiverse. Like, subscribe. Check out some of our other content over here. We got a whole lot of things you can sink your teeth into. And when the next one drops, guys, we'll see you right back here. Later.